Hi, I'm Hillsborough County Commissioner Sandy Merman. I'd like to take this opportunity to remind you how important it is to take time to prepare and make a plan for hurricane season.
I'm Tim Dudley, your emergency manager. We've learned many valuable lessons over the years and want everyone to be as prepared as possible this storm season.
In these uncertain times, it's more important than ever to have a plan and be prepared. COVID-19 has shown us that coming together as a community and being resilient is key.
Our team is working hard to keep Hillsborough County ready for any disaster and to provide our residents with resources in case of a hurricane.
To make sure you're ready this year, the first thing you need to do is to sign up for HCFL Alert. You'll receive current emergency information by phone or email.
Next, make a plan with your loved ones. Knowing your evacuation zone and evacuation route is crucial. If you have to evacuate, consider reaching out to friends and families that live outside the evacuation zone to see if they can host you.
If staying with friends or family isn't an option, you can always consider hotels or motels outside of the evacuation zones.
That's right, Hillsborough County emergency shelters are lifeboats, not cruise ships. They should be considered a last resort to keep your family safe.
If Hillsborough County emergency shelters are your only option to evacuate, come prepared. You'll need some additional items this year, including face masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, and other personal items.
At Hillsborough County emergency shelters, you should be prepared to practice social distancing and come with your emergency kit and the items your family needs. Remember, shelters are not a resort. Their last resort. They won't offer any amenities and resources may be limited.
During storm season, you should also keep your gas tank full and keep your emergency kit close at hand.
Make sure to check supplies in that kit, including medication, radio, flashlights, and batteries.
And as we mentioned, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, please include face masks or coverings, hand sanitizers, and gloves.
I want to echo what Commissioner Merman just said. These additions are essential for your health and that of others, especially if you need to go to a county shelter.
In addition, do not forget to pre-register loved ones who require special needs accommodations. Hillsborough has programs in place to help those individuals prepare and find safe shelter.
And don't forget about our furry friends. You'll need food, a pet carrier, proof of current vaccination, and your animal's county registration tag.
Have a plan, know your plan. For more information, please visit hcflgov.net/stay safe. Thank you.
Hillsborough County is utilizing CARES Act COVID-19 crisis intervention funding to provide support and financial relief to residents who have had a reduction of wage or are newly unemployed due to the pandemic. The funding aims to prevent residents from experiencing further financial hardship by assisting them with their rental or mortgage payments and past due utility bills. Residents in Hillsborough County, including City of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace, are eligible to apply. Funding will be on a first-come, first-served basis and will be given only if program requirements are met. Here are the eligibility requirements for families seeking financial assistance. Residents must reside in Hillsborough County, including City of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace. Impacted by a reduction in or loss of wages resulting from layoff or lessening of hours due to the COVID-19 coronavirus between March 2020 and July 2020. Have liquid assets that do not exceed $3,600, are on a current lease or mortgage plan, have past due utility bills, fall within income qualifications of at or below 120% area median income qualifications as reported on your 2019 tax return for your adjusted gross income for the year. Here are the documents you will need in order to apply for assistance. Scanned copy of the front of your valid Florida driver's license or Florida identification card. Copy of your 2019 federal income tax return. Copy of your full lease or latest mortgage statement. Copy of past due utility bill. Copy of your last full paycheck received. one form of proof of loss of income related to COVID-19 impacts due to loss of employment. Those include copy of reduced paycheck after March 1st, furlough or layoff letter from employer detailing when layoff was and reason, unemployment statement from company, company issued proof of loss statement. Online applications will be available on Monday, August 3rd at 10 a.m. For more information, please visit hcflgov.net/R3.
Hillsborough County, along with local and federal health experts, are encouraging residents to wear cloth face masks to cover their nose and mouth when in public to help stop the spread of COVID-19. There are not enough surgical face masks for everyone, and available ones should go to healthcare workers and first responders. It's easy to make your own face mask out of common household items. The CDC and U.S. Surgeon General say you can use an old scarf, bandana, or make one using a t-shirt plus 2 rubber bands. Cut part of the t-shirt into a square, fold it from the bottom to the middle, then from the middle to the top. Repeat those steps one more time, then add a rubber band to each side. Bring each end to the middle, then secure around your face. They should fit snugly but comfortably. Cloth face coverings should not be placed on children younger than 2 years of age or people who have trouble breathing. The CDC emphasizes that while wearing a face mask, you should still practice social distancing, stay 6 feet apart from others, and continue other preventative measures such as frequent hand washing. We encourage you to visit hcflgov.net/stay safe for up-to-date information.
Hello, I'm WWE superstar Titus O'Neil, and today I'm coming to you as a neighbor. You owe it to yourself and those you love to get tested now. Get the care you need and protect your family. Hillsborough County is offering free coronavirus testing and no health insurance is needed. It costs you nothing to get tested. Visit hcflgov.net/stay safe for more information and have a reservation made today. Share this with a neighbor, and let's come together as a community and keep fighting to get through this. Together, we will come back stronger. God bless.
Good morning, everyone. It is 11:03, and we're going to go ahead and get started with this special meeting. So that's call into order. Next item is public comments, and I understand that there is one person who has expressed an interest in providing comments, someone from Pinecrest Little League. So if that person is on, you can identify yourself now. Okay. Does not appear that that person is on, so we'll go ahead and move to the presentation, return to play for FUA holders.
Hello, everyone. Rick Valdez, Director of Parks and Recreation. I want to thank you all for your support of Parks and Rec and working today's meeting into your schedules on short notice. Like Anthony mentioned earlier, this is the first special meeting I recall us having, but we are in unprecedented times, and we felt like we wanted to bring this matter to you guys sooner rather than later. We are joined on the call today by our Deputy County Administrator, Greg Hordell, as well as our Assistant County Administrator, Dexter Barge. And as we don't normally schedule special meetings, we felt strongly that this was an issue we preferred to attempt to address quickly and not wait an additional week or two. The purpose of this meeting is to provide a quick update on our athletics return to play and receive your support for a recommendation to our administration for our next phase, which is return to competition for baseball and softball. You may ask why baseball and softball, and there are several reasons why we're moving in that direction, or that we support that direction. Baseball and softball are the sports that consist of Plant City, Tampa, and Temple Terrace, and we plan to move forward as a unified group as much as possible with future decisions regarding sports. Oldsmar and Clearwater and St. Pete are already allowing competition. Plant City, Tampa, and Temple Terrace are really waiting on Hillsborough County's decision to move forward, and then they will most likely follow suit. We just issued a joint statement regarding contact sports to all of our youth sports organizations, and our health advisors have agreed to meet again in late September to discuss the next steps for more contact sports like soccer, lacrosse, football. And this recommendation to allow baseball and softball really aligns us with where our partners are, the surrounding localities that I mentioned, and helps us move forward in a more unified approach, which I think is very important for the Tampa Bay area as a whole. As I mentioned, another one of our big concerns is we have leagues currently forming travel ball teams, mainly because we don't allow competition here. We allow practice. And so what they're doing is they're practicing here and then traveling every weekend outside of our county to participate. I fear this is going to be a big long-term impact on our local recreational leagues, and ultimately, kids do not have the means to be a part of travel ball teams, and programs will be left behind. And that's always been a big concern of ours. I will stop there and answer any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Rick. Is there anyone else that has, from your group, that has any input on this change or the document that was provided to us?
No, well, you know, we met as a group. We've all reviewed the document. We feel confident in the document. We feel confident that our youth leagues are going to work with us to follow all the guidelines. We will have staff that are out making stops at all of these complexes to ensure that people are following the guidelines provided. We've already been doing that because, as I mentioned, we're already allowing all sports to practice and condition because we want kids out on the field getting some form of exercise. So we already have a team in place that goes out and does compliance checks. We've been receiving numerous emails from leagues around the county, from Odessa to Pinecrest, and parents that want their kids to play youth sports. You know, they want us to take this next step. So, you know, as we prepare our recommendation to our county administrator, I felt it was really important to have the support of you guys so I can include that in the recommendation. And if you guys do agree and you're willing to vote on that recommendation today, I would also ask that you reach out to your commissioners that appointed you to let them know that you support it.
Chair Sanchez, if I could make, or if I could ask Rick to go into detail on a couple of things.
Absolutely, Greg. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hey, Rick, you may want to go over with the advisory board members the conversations that you've had with USF Department of Health and the Florida Department of Health, because they were instrumental in helping us make sure that the guidelines that you and your staff had developed were consistent with what they felt to be a good practice in this time of COVID. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Greg.
We developed our return to play guidelines. All of our guidelines were reviewed by some of the lead professors at USF Health, as well as the director of Department in Health. They provided input. We made changes to our guidelines per that input they provided. And so we're really confident in the guidelines that we have established are in line with, you know, all the recommendations from the top medical experts here in Hillsborough County that we've been working with on numerous issues regarding this current pandemic. And as I mentioned, I just met with them last week, and although they are not ready to support the return of more contact sports, they did state that because everyone around us was already playing competitive baseball and softball, that us moving in that direction would not have a significant impact on the virus, you know, on the positivity rate here.
Thanks, Rick. Real quickly, in reviewing the document, I mean, me personally, I think it's quite inclusive, and I believe if people were to follow those guidelines, then for the most part, I mean, other than just being locked up in their houses, it would be pretty safe. The concern I always have is related to compliance. So could you share with us, for the people that have been going out and evaluating the practices, what they've seen? Are they actually seeing everyone in compliance? Are they not seeing it? And if in situations where they feel people are out of compliance, the conversations with the families, with the coaches, has it been cordial, or has it, you know, are they pushing back? What is the feedback that you're getting from the people that are out in the field monitoring it?
So all of our youth organizations have really been great to work with. We have ran into a couple situations where, you know, we had to make some suggestions and modifications have been made, but overall people are complying and we aren't having any problems. If we were having serious issues out there with compliance, we wouldn't be bringing this recommendation forward. We would probably be going in a different direction, and that would be shutting more things down because people are not able to comply. If we do come up on an organization that is not following compliance, they're given the opportunity to fix it, or they're told we will suspend their program. So we really haven't had any situations where we've had to suspend the program.
Okay, I noticed that Aaron and Jack had your hands up. I think your hands been taken down. Were your questions answered? Oh no, I see your hands are still up. So, Aaron?
Yeah, just real quick, and sorry if I missed this, Rick, but what's the timing on when the return to competition would take place? Is this fairly immediate, or is this several months out, or?
I mean, the timing depends on today, what the result of the meeting is today, and then we would put I would put my recommendation together and send to Dexter and Greg, and then they would from there take it to our county administrator, I would imagine, and Greg may be able to give some more insight on what that looks like.
Yes, so Rick's exactly right. We're trying to move as quickly as we can to be sensitive to the changing environment that the leagues are facing. So we want to be as supportive as we can, as Rick outlined, and as soon as we can get the input from the advisory board, because we do feel that your input is vital. Frankly, that's why we're having the meeting today. And if you support the proposal, we will move as quickly as we can to get the word out to the various leagues. We don't want to sit on it or delay.
Great.
We know that people are really, frankly, a lot of people are tired of being cooped up and they want to get out and do something productive. We just want them to do it in a very safe way and not contribute to the spread of the virus. So I think on balance, we have a well thought out and fairly conservative approach that allows people to get out and do the things with their kids, and the leagues can run things, I think, very effectively. Rick and his staff have done, in my opinion, an outstanding job of working with the leagues and making sure that they understand how they could perform in this environment. So I feel pretty comfortable at this stage. Again, if you don't support this and you have significant questions you need staff to answer, that's what we want to hear.
Just to be, my understanding was that we were going to make a recommendation today, and then it was going to go to the full Board of County Commissioners.
Anthony, I think there's a question of whether it would need to. I mean, I believe that the administration has the ability to make that decision and to authorize that. Because we have a new county administrator, we want to make sure that we fully brief her on what her options are. She may choose to refer this to the full board, and the full board does meet this Thursday. It's another reason for the timing on this, as part of their emergency duties now. So depending upon her reaction, if she decides that she wants the full board to hear the message and actually maybe even vote on that, that's her prerogative. I just don't know whether she'll want to do that. Wanted to make sure that we answered all of her questions. I'm certain one of her questions would be, have you talked with the Parks Advisory Board? So we wanted to cross that off the list to make sure that we were able to give her an affirmative answer.
Great. Thank you. Jack?
Yeah, well, thank you, Aaron. That I was waiting for your comment, so that answered one of my questions. I have no problem supporting this proposal. I did have and I don't think the full board wants to touch this at all, as my guess. Don't know how our new administrator will deal with it, but I have a feeling that's one of the reasons we're here. To provide a little bit of cover. But I look at the proposal that's on the table, and I think it's prudent and well thought out, and I can't imagine, why we wouldn't approve it. I see a COVID waiver that we will be getting from the leagues. Do we know whether or not, only because my company has been in a COVID waiver business, it seems like all of a sudden, do we know whether or not the leagues will be requiring COVID waivers from participants, from families?
So, Jack, I would do my best to answer that. Every league runs their organization a little bit different. I know when I worked with our county attorney and through the process of establishing this return to play guideline, and we have the league sign off on this saying that they've received it and they're responsible. Our county attorney did not recommend us including a COVID waiver. I would imagine that each league out there is, some of them are more organized than others. I would imagine they're working with their legal counsel to determine if they're establishing COVID waivers or not. I know a lot of them have been having parents at least sign like a guideline sheet saying that they understand that these are going to be the guidelines and they agree to the guidelines with participation, but actual legal waiver.
Yeah, I didn't read it that clearly, Rick, but I think we just want to, from a county perspective, certainly make sure that we've placed upon the leagues the responsibility, the requirement that they've notified everyone before they come to play what the rules are. So I don't think you can go any farther than that. And I would move to approve your recommendation on this bringing softball and baseball competitive play back to Hillsborough County.
Okay, we have a motion. Understand that there's still some people that want to talk, so we could still continue the dialogue after, but do we want to have a second on it?
I'll second it.
Okay, and Aaron seconds it. So Joe still has your hand up. So Joe, if you want to ask your questions.
Okay, yeah, Jack kind of got at me. I was curious if we had any kind of liability on this. And I do think it's, y'all done a great job with doing the groundwork, and I'll support it. But the guidelines here, they are guidelines, they're not requirements. Is there going to be an issue where maybe somebody doesn't do what we think they should do, and we're saying, we get into a some sort of little gray area? Because you continually use the words guidelines. And there's probably a good reason for that, but I just want to.
Yeah, so these guidelines will have to be followed. As you read through the guidelines, you'll see some things that are required and others are recommended and others are encouraged. And when we worked with our health advisors, that's how we came up, with each one of these guidelines, like things requiring kids to wear a face mask. They were hesitant to say all kids are required to wear a face mask because of what could happen to a kid that has a face mask on that may have asthma or some other health issue. So certain things are encouraged, certain things are required, and the leagues will have to follow what's written in these guidelines.
Okay, and in terms of liability, anything, if a number of kids come down with.
So when I met with our county attorney's office, they were very hesitant to put anything, to establish any liability for them that specifically related to COVID. They felt that our current liability forms that we have in place cover us already. And that by outlining COVID in particular, we actually opened ourselves up to more legal issues than not putting that in there specifically and just using our current waiver.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
My only comment, Rick, I read through your waiver one more time at the bottom. I still believe if it was me, I'd add a line that the league is responsibility for passing this on, whatever the legal language is, to there is nothing here that says they have any obligation to inform their users, their members, that they have signed up on this. I just, if it was me, I'd make sure that as the league signs this, they are acknowledging that they've also informed all of their customers, all of their players, all their families, whatever it is, that this is the rules they've agreed to comply with. But I will let that stand with you guys in your legal counsel, and I will stand with my motion as stated. And again, I won't charge, my company will never charge anybody in Hillsborough County anything. So if we can be of help getting COVID waivers out by email, happy to do that. But
Jack, it's a good suggestion, and we can make sure that the leagues know that their responsibility is to disseminate the information and require their folks to follow it. So whether that's the addition of a simple sentence or verbal communication, either way, and Rick's right, our legal counsel, I think, frankly, our current liability waiver does cover this. Out of an abundance of caution, we posed the question to them specifically about COVID, given the heightened awareness, but they feel that we're adequately covered. And as long as we require the leagues to abide by the guidelines and inform their participants, I think we're in good standing. So thanks for your suggestion.
Anthony, could I pipe in for a second?
Yeah, absolutely. Who was that? I couldn't see.
This is Rick Shantz, the new member.
Oh, okay. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing pretty good. I couldn't find the raise your hand button.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, you weren't around for our initial training. So Allison, you might want to follow up with him and go over the items we had for our initial training meeting. So.
It's on the 3-dot menu on the far right next to the X.
Okay. All right. But I had the same question as everybody else had. Am I coming through okay? Or is there
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I noticed in the field use agreement, there is some mention of a waiver that is suggested to be signed. And that's what I think everybody is talking about here. Is there a waiver prepared that they're asking people to sign to go back into competition?
Are you referring to a parent waiver, or are you referring to a waiver that we would have our league sign?
It's a parent waiver, I think, that is suggested in the return to competition section of the use agreement. It says there's suggested that a waiver be signed.
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, we can check with each youth sport organization to determine who's having parents sign waivers and who is not. I believe that most leagues are having parents sign a waiver. They normally have kids sign a waiver whenever they register for any sports with their organization. If they've changed their waiver to reflect COVID, that would be a decision that the leagues are making on their own with their own legal counsel. I know when we spoke with our county attorney, they did not recommend for us to create a COVID waiver. Their opinion was that our current waivers that we have in place cover us just as well as if we had a waiver that specifically mentions COVID.
Okay, well, as long as you've checked with the county attorney on that, I'm comfortable with that. You know, we just want to protect the county from liability, and I think that's what everybody's concern is here. But if they've addressed it, then I think we could just rely on them.
Thank you.
Welcome, Richard.
Yeah, I guess I'll get a more proper introduction next week.
We're glad to have a fuller board.
I just received, I guess we do have people watching. Scott Powers from Fishhawk just sent me a text message saying that Fishhawk has a parent waiver for COVID. So as I mentioned, each organization is handling things differently. We don't really get involved in that part of it.
So the county's not reviewing each individual waiver. They're just it's being noted that they have one.
We can't note it. We know that they require waivers when kids come and register for their programs, but I'm not sure how many organizations have established a specific COVID waiver.
Yeah, I was just looking, just out of full disclosure, I also serve on a Little League board, and on their document, it actually says all participants, parents, volunteers, and players must sign this waiver related to COVID. So okay. I have not seen the actual document, but they basically took the guidelines that you guys sent out, and then they just added all of their specific requirements for each, and they note that.
Thank you.
Jack and Joe, your hands are still up. Do you have any other, and Allison, your hand's up as well. Anyone else have any other comments or questions? Are we ready to vote?
I just had an email. Oh, sorry. I just had an email come in from somebody watching that's asking if the recommendations are available to the public or not.
I think the question is, can we post that eDocker link or not, right?
Yeah, somebody wants to know if I can share it with them, if it's public, ready for the public, or if it's not available yet for the public.
If we pass this thing, I would think, well, first of all, it's very easy. I mean, everything we do here, it has to be public. So the question is, if there's no modifications to it, I would just post that that link immediately. So that would be my recommendation, but maybe we take one motion at a time. I don't know.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
So yes, just want to verify that everything that you do, even draft stuff, everything that we've submitted to you is already public information. So Allison, if you want to go ahead and send it to him, that's fine. We frankly have nothing to hide or be ashamed of. It's, I believe, a good document, and I know that you all have not had the normal period of time to review it because we're trying to move, again, as quickly as we can to be supportive of the leagues who have made the requests. So yes, anything that we can provide the public, we will. Whether we have a decision by the county administrator to bring this to the full board for their knowledge or approval will be determined after, of course, we hear what your action is.
Yeah, it was my understanding that anytime we had our drafts or anything that were posted, that was open to the public as well, because it has our agenda that we put out a week before each meeting, along with the draft minutes and such. So
yes.
Any other comments or questions? I'm not seeing any other.
It's our public, the way Allison is putting them up. They just have to find them, and it's easier just to give the link.
Okay, I don't see any other hands up, so I'll go ahead and call the motion that's been put on the table to accept this. All in favor? Any opposed? Then it passes. Oh, we can raise hands too. Huh? Joe, did you have a comment or question, or you just raise your hand to vote for it?
I was raising my hand in support.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know how you were doing this. So.
I'm just trying to remember from our first meeting. I think it was me just to ask if there was anyone that was opposed, and there was no one opposed to it. So any other comments or questions related to this? Anything else you need from us, Rick, before the meeting a week from, is it a week from today?
It's a day. No, sir.
Okay.
That covers it.
Rick, perhaps it might be worth noting for the board, I know you're meeting next week. I know you've also asked about reopening of playgrounds. We are still working on that. So we want, at some point, we will also be asking the advisory board for input. We think that that is another one that, you know, people, particularly parents, have been asking about. And it is, and again, in the age of COVID, there's a lot of questions about that. And we have board members who are certainly concerned about our youth and how we're trying to protect them. So just wanted to mention that. And at some point, we'll ask you for your input on that as well.
Thanks, Rick. Just to clarify, is the process going to be by sport, presenting these documents by sport as they're put together?
I think we'll have a better idea of how we're going to proceed when we meet with our health advisors again. That meeting, like, as I mentioned, will take place near the end of September. And I would imagine that sports are going to be looked at individually because of, you know, the different level of contact and the ability to adapt different sports to what we're dealing with right now. But I'll have a clear direction on that towards the end of September, and I will provide you guys with an update.
Great, and I imagine that if this rolls out and there's an outbreak or whatnot, you'll just keep us informed. We won't necessarily wait till the next board meeting to let us know that if there's any deviation from the actual document and how it's rolled out, and whether if it has to be pulled back because there's a number of cases that come out of it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't.
Anthony, very much appreciate you and the board's willingness to meet and discuss this with us. It is, as you might imagine, a rapidly evolving landscape these days, and as cases rise or decline, we will try and adjust accordingly. We do think for the major sports, this was the first one, and the only other one I think that we're really going to probably get some guidance or need some guidance would be the contact sports. As you know, there's been quite a bit of press about the professional sports leagues, and college football. So it's, I think it's unfortunate. I love fall sports, and it's going to be a big hole to fill for a lot of people. But we also want to be very much aware that our job is to try and provide a safe framework for people to compete. So we're going to do that. It's a balancing act, and we very much appreciate your all's input. Suggestions have been good, and I'm very appreciative of your time and energy.
Great. One other item too, when this goes back to the county administrator, could you let us know whether it's going to go to the board?
Absolutely. We will be happy to do that. My hope is that we get the authorization. That'll be my recommendation, to just go ahead and move forward. But like I said, it's a little bit new for her. Not that she's not experienced or smart. She is. She's incredibly smart. But it's just a matter of trying to gauge where, how she wants to process stuff like this in the age of COVID. So we'll let you know.
Hey, Greg, make sure you let them know it was a unanimous consent. So, sure. Rick, one thing I would like to hear about, and I don't mean to hold this meeting up, but I can't even imagine the impact on a disabled and handicapped youth programs. The impact must be devastating. So, besides talking about BOCC, which we always seem to do, I'd like to understand about the participants in some of these programs and what in the world are we doing, or how are we doing it? So anyway, I can't even imagine. It's a terrible time, and hopefully we'll get through it soon enough, right? It was really good to see everybody.
Sir, you too. And I will have staff provide an update of our adaptive programs at our next meeting on Wednesday.
Sounds great. So if there's no other hands up, then we'll go ahead and call this meeting, close it out, and I'll see everyone in a week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,